Hi guys, I hope you're doing absolutely amazing so far. Welcome to this video on interactive UIs. So we have seen a lot of components so far, and now we will actually see how we can make the components do a couple of things, and that too based on the user interactions. So we'll talk about a lot of things here, and let's start with simple button. We know how to create the button, so we'll start off with button. We'll take a look at slider, stepper, toggles, picker, and inside that we have four types of picker. That is menu, wheel, and date color. We'll talk about text fields as well, and if you want to put some validation in the text field, we'll take a look at that as well. So as usual, we have our preview here, which is showing us the interactive UI components structure. And in here, we will keep our examples. And we'll start off with the very first one, that is a button example. Although we have seen this a couple of times before in previous videos, we have a VStack here, and it's just having a simple one component, not really a stack of multiple components, but just one button component with a text which says tap me. So we have modifiers like padding, background color, foreground color, and corner radius. Also, we have disabled, which is currently having false. So right now, just to make our button look like having a foreground white color, background blue color, and some padding before that, when you click, it will give you that effect, the response that you have clicked on it. If you want to disable the button, you can just use the dot disable modifier and give it true. And now if you will click on it, it will not, it is not clickable. It's just is disabled. So this is pretty straightforward, nothing major. So let's talk about slider. So I will enable this example first and comment our previous one. So what we are seeing here is a simple slider based on which there is a value. Here it is 22%. Think of it as you're selecting a number, and when your slider reaches here, it's 82. So the range is from 0 to 100. And the slider, where you stop the slider, is where there is a value, and that is what we are reflecting in the text. So here we have a state property volume, and how this interactive UI is created is what we'll take a look at now. So we have a simple stack where we have our two components, slider and text. In the text, we are giving a simple text, and after that we are casting the volume property value into integer. It's a double value here, and this is, we'll see why it's double right now. So the volume here is a state property. That basically means that it's a simple property as well as it's a publisher. So if you want to access the property, you will just use volume. But if you want to access the publisher version of the property, you use the dollar sign in front of it, and dollar volume will be the publisher version of the property volume. Why we are accessing the publisher version? Because when the slider, which is having the range from 0 to 100, and when you move, it will step one at a time. So it will have 1, 2, 3, 4 like that values. If you make it 5, then it will move in the difference of 5. For example, from 0 it will move to directly 5, then 10, 15, 20 like that. So our steps are going to be 1, so that we cover right from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, like that. And we have a padding to it. So why we are giving here not the property volume but the publisher version of the property, because as soon as there is a change in the slider, the value is going to get into the volume keyword here, let's say, and that should be the publisher which should receive the value, because as soon as we receive the value in our property, we want it to publish, and that is why we are using here a publisher, so that as soon as it will receive the value, it will publish that value. That basically means we have an updated view, and the updation will happen. That is basically means that there is a change in the property state property, and wherever it is used in the view, it will refresh the whole view looking for that property in use, which is right here, and it will update the value immediately. So every time we are making a change here, like 37 to 38, 39, it has updated the view 2 times or refreshed the view 2 times. The first time when there was a change, that is the value shifted from 37 to 38, and the second refresh from 37 to 39, 38 to 39. And that is all. That is how simple it is to use slider and create interactive UIs. And if we click here, right here, slider, you will see the value is expecting a binding, something we will learn in an upcoming video in pretty detail, but it's not really asking for a variable of type double. So it's asking for a binding variable, which basically means that it is asking for a publisher. And we'll understand binding in upcoming videos in very much in detail. And for now, we just need to understand that dollar, along with dollar, if we keep the dollar in front of the property name, it is simply we are accessing the second version of the volume, that is the publisher version of the volume. Now, I've mentioned a quick note here, that is the slider adjusts the values dynamically and displays real-time changes in the text label. So it adjusts the values dynamically means there is a change in the slider, it will dynamically update the values to the publisher, and the publisher is going to publish, so our text is going to display that. And that is how we create a simple interactive UI. Just like that, we will see the next thing. We're done with slider, we'll talk about steppers now. So I will enable the example stepper and comment the slider. And stepper is used for stepping a value or increasing the value by 1. So you think you have an item added to your cart and you want to order more than one of that item. So you can just select plus to increase that item, and you can see this button got disabled after it reached 10. That is because the stepper, here we can mention the range, how many items you can actually buy, and you cannot just buy 100 items because Amazon may not be able to deliver that that many quantity of the same item. I cannot order in, you cannot order in bulk, you can order in maximum 10 items, and minus will decrement the values, and you have to have at least one value. So we have the range from 1 to 10, and again we have the quantity publisher version of the property quantity here. It is initialized with 1. As soon as there is any change in the stepper, it is going to update our state property, or say a publisher, or say publisher version of the property quantity. And as soon as there is any change in it, we are going to update our view. So where exactly it is used? So quantity is used here. So you will see here the property quantity is accessed, not the publisher version of the property is accessed. So we have two versions, that is a simple property, variable property, and the publisher version of the property. So as soon as you add state, it is going to be having one more version added. Right now it's a simple property, but the moment you add state, it adds one more version. As soon as you add the state property, it will add that one more version to it, that is a publisher version. And here we are accessing the first version, here we are accessing the second version of the property. And that is it. We are displaying it in the stepper itself. So stepper gives you a text area, which is right here. And if you apply a background color, we'll be able to see this is the whole stepper. So the text is also part of stepper, and the increment and decrement buttons are also part of it. And that is it. I have mentioned here a quick note. So limits values within a defined range and easy UI control for quantity or counter adjustments. And that's it. We can now talk about next thing, that is toggle. So we have previously seen a couple of times dot toggle, which we used to use like the state property. We used to take the state property dot toggle. It will toggle the value from true to false or false to true. And we have the toggle element here, which looks like this. As soon as you click on it, it will turn green, and the value basically means the value of the toggle. This value, as soon as you toggle, where we have to mention a property, state property. And again, we are accessing the publisher version, because as soon as there is any change in the property, it will update wherever it is used in the view. So we will get the updated view. So all we have to do is use toggle, mention a title, which will appear here. And we have another parameter where we mention our state property, have some padding here, and we have a text where based on our state property, we are just printing or just showcasing a text which appears here. So if we click here, it will make the change in the state property. That is, it will turn it off and the value will be false. And if it is true, the value will be true, and it will say that the dark mode is on. So what we are doing is, whenever you interact with the UI component toggle, it will make change in the property. And the toggle has the parameter is on, where you have to mention a state property, because it is going to change this interaction that the user is doing with the UI toggle, that is going to make some change in the state of the view. And that is why we mention here the property is dark mode, and we are not mentioning the property version of it or the variable version of it. We are mentioning the publisher version of it, that is using the dollar sign. And that's it. I have mentioned a quick note here. Stores on or off state. It is great for settings like notification preference or dark mode. So when you go to your simulator, and if I can say dark mode here, and you will see the toggle. So if you click on it, it will turn your screen, the theme of the device, as dark mode. If you turn it on, it will make it light. So if we make it dark mode and open any application, let's open this one, you will see it's a dark mode application. The application is in dark mode, I mean to say. And if I turn it on, turn it off, then it will be light mode. So it will give you the background with light, basically light color. It's a mode that we are changing with the help of toggle. And that is it. Let's move on to our next example, that is picker. So when you want the user to pick a particular value, for example, you are making the user select their date of birth, and we have to mention all the years from 1980s to 2024. So the user will have to pick a particular date or year of birth, and that is where we need the UI component like picker. So we have different variations that fits different scenarios. We have menu, wheel, date, and color picker. So menu picker looks like this one. Let's go to our picker example. Here we have the picker example where we have property Well, let's first take a look at the picker component. We just mention text, and we have to give a state property which will be updated as soon as you interact with the component you picker. And inside the picker, we will have to just mention what all values you want to give here. So right now we are just loading these values which we have in the array fruits: apple, banana, mango, grapes. And you can see when you click on the component picker, it will give you the menu since it's menu picker, and you can select one and it will reflect in your state property. So it will make a change in the state property here, and as soon as there is any change in it, it will publish that change, and wherever in the view it is used, it will update that. So in the text here, we have selected or used selected fruit, and here we are accessing the property version. We are just reading the value. We don't want to use dollar because we are not really trying to access the publisher version of it. If you do that, you will see it will tell you the selected with the type, binding string, and a lot more things. So we just want the variable version of that property selected fruit. So we have a vstack, then we have picker, and we are applying a style. For that we have picker style, menu picker style, and that basically means it's a menu theme or a drop down style, and that is all. That is how easy it is. As soon as you select anything, it will update your selected fruit state property, and it will update the whole view, refresh the whole view. And I have mentioned a quick note here: drop down menu selection works well for shortlist, and that's it. Now when it comes to second type of picker, that is wheel picker, I will comment this one, enable this one, and let's jump to it. And this is just the same code, complete code, but just the style here, picker style is a wheel picker style, which looks like a wheel. So it is just the kind of appearance, it's just a style difference and nothing else. We are loading colors here instead of fruit. So the values are red, green. As soon as you slide and select blue, it will update your state property selected color because we have mentioned it in our picker. And then the whole view will get refreshed. That basically means the text will get refreshed and selected color will be given here. So I'm mentioning a quick note: will style selection for scrolling, better for longer list. So if you have the year to select to mention your date of birth, date of year, birth year, then you can just scroll through all the years and go to that one which is yours, and which is the wheel style is better in that case, because if you have a menu style, then you have to click, and you have to really, if it's a long list, then you might have to scroll, which is good in case of the wheel picker or the wheel style. And that is it. We have date picker and color picker. So I will enable both of the pickers. I will comment our wheel picker, and let's enable date and color picker as well. So I hope this UI doesn't seem very complicated. Let's just take a look at first one, date picker. Let's do the definition. So we have the date picker in our vstack and the text. So date picker, again, we just have to mention a title for the date picker, mention state property which will be getting change, and we are saying the displayed components dot date. Since it's a date picker, we are displaying the date right now, just a padding. As soon as there is any change in it, it will update this and the text will get updated. So selected date, since it's type date, selected date dot format it, we are just formatting it and displaying it here. So when you click on it, you will get a calendar, and you can pick any date. So let's say today is 16 March. I will select 16 April, and as soon as I click, and I will have to click outside of the calendar, and then it will showcase the date picker will showcase the 16 April you have selected, and because you have selected this value, it will make the change in our selected date publisher version of the property, state property. And as soon as there is any change in it, it will showcase in the text, and that's why it will reflect here. If I select some other date, 26 April, it will reflect here. And picker date is just a title here that we have mentioned for the date picker. So I mentioned in a note, allows date selection and can show time selection too if we use the hour and minute. So you can see if you click, you will get a this picker, which is also this is also a picker, which we have seen just before, which is a wheel picker. So you can scroll through the wheel and select the time. As soon as you have selected, it will reflect. It will actually, or it is actually going to update it. But if we just print a selected date here, so it will give you that date as well and the time as well that you have selected, which is 6:56 we had selected. And it will tell you a bit more about it, the zone you are in, that is IST. And when we talk about another style, which is actually a picker, but it's a color picker. And here we use color picker, mention a title and state property, which will change. And this property should be of type color property. We have given it a value, so implicitly it has taken up the type automatically here. And we have a rectangle which has a modifier as fill. So if there is any change in the selected color state property, it will reflect it in the rectangle. We have given a frame and a corner radius and nothing else. And here how it looks like, picker color is a title, and we get this color picker here, and we have a rectangle. As soon as you click, you'll get a color picker where you can actually pick any color. If I just select one and go back, it is going to get reflected in the rectangle because it will change will the color picker will change the selected color and will update our state property, and that update will be reflected in the rectangle color filled with. So color picker is going to make a change in the state property. As soon as there is any change in it, our whole view will get updated. It will look for selected color anywhere wherever it is used, like here, and it will update it. So the color picker lets user pick colors dynamically and reflects the selection in real time. And this is how we just create interactive UI. And let's move on to our final thing, that is the text input. So we use the component text field. We just give some text to showcase until the user has written any text in the text input field. So I'll enable this one. And here it says we have written enter your name, which seems like a text, a little blur giving a hint of what you need to enter. That's the text we give here. Again, we have to give a state property which will undergo change as soon as you interact with the component. And here we have given a text field style. So it's a rounded border text field style, which is basically looks like this. I will actually zoom it. And this is how it looks like. You can see it's a rounded corner, it's a rounded rectangle, and just a little bit of padding to it. Then we have the text where we are utilizing our username state property. So as soon as you write anything in here, right now it just say hello, and then it will say the username, whatever the value. Right now initially we don't have any value, so it is giving us nothing. But say, as soon as I write Apple, on every stroke, if I say A, on every stroke our text field is going to update the text state property. As soon as there is any update, it will refresh the whole view, and it will find here is where username is used, so it will just update it. If I type, it will reflect all of it at every stroke. So I've mentioned in the note, simple text input field and displays real-time user input. And if you want to put some sort of validation on it, in the sense if there is a button on it or here somewhere right after the text, and you want the button to stay disabled until the user has typed more than three keywords, in the sense three letters. So sorry. So as soon as user write A, the button will still stay disabled, because we have a validation on text field that until the user type the first letter, then second, then third, after that only we should enable the button. Let's see one example about it. And we have the validate input example for it. I will comment this one and enable validate input example. And in here we have two state properties. One is to take the value in, that is when you type it will get updated. So here we have the vertical stack. Inside that we have one component text field, one button, and some modifiers on the button. So we'll learn one more new modifier, alert, that we apply on the button. So let's see the code a little bit first. We have the text field, a title for our text field, just something, some kind of hint to show, and the text will have the publisher state property here. And as soon as there is any change in the text field, it will reflect in here. We have some modifiers, and the button is where we have the if condition. If the username count is, although let's come back to the button in a second. Let's talk about the condition right now it is in. The submit looks like a button, but it's appearing gray, right? That is because we have our button here, the dot disabled modifier. So which is totally based on the username property, which is getting updated as soon as you type any text here. So on every stroke, this is getting updated, and here it is checking on every stroke whether the count is less than 3 or not. If it is less than 3, then it's true. So we will keep it disabled. If it is greater than equals to 3, then it will be, the condition will be false. That basically means disable false. So it will enable the button. So if I'll type A, it will keep, the condition is username count is 1, which is less than 3. When I type B, sorry, when I type B, the count is 2, less than 3. The moment I type C, it will enable the submit button. So when I type 2 letters, the count is 2, which is less than 3. So the condition is true, so it will keep it disabled, which is right now. The moment you write third letter, the count will be 3, which is equals to 3, not less than 3. So it will give us true, and it will give us false, and the disable false value is going to enable the button. And you can click on the button as well, it will be interactive. But if you write any number of letter less than 3, you cannot, it will stay disabled. And that is it. So what alert is doing here really? Well, when it comes to an alert, we are using a modifier alert, and we are showing here the dollar $show alert, which is state property, which is actually false at the moment. Now, only when it is true, then is presented parameter will be having the true value. And only when this value is true, it will execute the closure. So if it turns to true, and this is the alert you are getting. As soon as it turns to true, it will say invalid username. Username must be at least 3 character long. And when you click OK, it goes away. So this is something we can utilize. I will keep it false. And let's take a look at what is written here. So the alert, you have to mention the title of the alert, which is invalid user. So I will actually make it true so that we can see the pop-up. And invalid input is the title. The message is username must be at least 3 characters long. That is appearing in the subheading. And dismiss button, which is dot default, and we give a view, so which is a text OK. So OK is the dismiss button. When you click on it, it will dismiss the alert, and it will the modifier will be applied only when there is the value is true, which is true right now. I've changed it. And this is something we are going to, I'm gonna just undo this. And this is what in the button we are doing. So if the button is enabled, then let's forget about the button. If the condition is the count is less than 3, the alert will be having the value true. And else it will print the submitted username. So as soon as you write the first letter, you cannot click on the button anyways. So this will never get fired. And it's just one way of showcasing that we can utilize the alert as well instead of keeping the button disabled. If you don't want to disable it, then it will be appearing enabled all the time. But when you type A, that basically means you have updated the username. And when you click on the button, it will execute the code. So when you click, it will showcase the alert that the count, the number of letters you have typed in the text field is less than 3. So when I type one more, submit, it won't take it. So this is the kind of validation we are performing. When you have 3 letters, you submit, it will not show the alert, and it will proceed with some more action that you want to do on submission. And that is it. I have mentioned a quick note here. Ensures validate user input before submission and shows an alert if validation fails. I have written a final summary here just to revise it. If you ever feel lost, you want to just want a quick walkthrough on all of these components, then you can just come to the file, go through the examples and the comments, and go through the summary once, and you'll be back on track. So button, slider, stepper, toggle, picker, and text input field, what we have seen. This is the example code just to remind you quickly. And what it does, just a brief on it. So button just triggers the action on tap. Slider adjusts the numeric values, and stepper will increment decrement a value. Toggle will switch the value on off. Picker is going to help you pick the values. It allows user selection. We have 4 types of styles, that is menu and style, color picker is there, and date picker is there. So we have 4 types of picker. Actually, just to clarify, so menu and wheel are just styles, but date and color are another type of picker. It will help you pick the date and it will help you pick the color. But here, wheel and menu, it will help you pick any sort of data that you put inside the menu or wheel styled picker. And when it comes to input text field, it just expects or accept the user input. And that is it. I hope you find this video informative, and I will connect with you in the next one.